Now, since its launch in February 2020, the National Unity Platform has been transcending growth of divisions within itself, the most being the issue of Moses Nkonge Chibalama, whose NURP, later National Unity Reconciliation and Development Party idea emerged. Now, the National Unity Platform is in the quagmire of so much acrimony, and many of the 57 lawmakers apparently are beginning to look at things in a different way, including the continuing polarization and the competing ideological positions. That's according to yesterday's Daily Monitor. The caucus of the opposition party that has more than 20 lawmakers pledging allegiance apparently to Matthias Mpuuga, the leader of opposition, or at least his ideals. That creates a fundamental shift from the ideals espoused by the principal, that is Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Many of those representatives have apparently come up and conducted business in a manner that does not keep in line with what the principal in Magere or in Kamocha alludes to. Right now, or this morning, we are going to speak to the deputy spokesperson, Mr. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, who is going to, well, take us through the corridors of the National Unity Platform to understand exactly what is going on, or whether the country's biggest political party now, especially in Parliament, is beginning to waver. A very warm welcome to the show.
I am humbled, my brother. Very okay. Very good. I mean, we are on the hashtag of Toja Gasima, so... Toja what? Toja Gasima, so we are moving on well.
All right, first explain the hashtag. Toja...
We are all out. We have given our position on the oil.
Yep.
And we are lucky that now people are listening, and we have now generated the debate. The former My Oil is now Our Oil, so we believe it's progress.
How fundamental do you think that shift is from My Oil to Our Oil? Simply because you have spoken about it?
By terms of English, one is inclusive, another one is exclusive. My is exclusive, it is egocentric, and then ours is for the country.
All right.
So we stopped Our Oil, not his oil.
How do you intend to follow up on that particular issue to ensure it does not fall back into My Oil?
I can tell you that General Museveni will not see a day of this oil.
What do you mean?
He will not see a day of this oil, our oil.
What do you mean?
He will not benefit from that oil. We have stopped it.
Shouldn't
because he shouldn't. It should be for the country.
He's a Ugandan.
No, but it should not be personal. He said that that oil was to benefit his relatives in Tanzania. And it is to the effect of the agreement. 62% is going to Tullow Oil, France. That is Europe.
That goes to Tullow Oil fundamentally because we are unable to have the necessary resources and logistical capacity to do this business.
Excellent. Then it means you are also introducing neo-colonialism. Okay? And yet, even here, as alluded to, as asserted, as averred by my president, even the one in charge has himself satisfied the country with a response that most of his relatives are in Tanzania. We are talking about a pipeline of $1.2 billion that is going to move our oil, but we are talking about benefits to the people of Uganda being as low as 8%.
All right, we shall return to the discussion there, especially on the aspect of neo-colonialism and how you intend to rid Uganda of this particularly very critical aspect, the inability to disengage from the West in terms of governance and how we roll out our economic policy. National Unity Platform, what you have. But before we do that, allow me go to Parliament.
I'll be very glad about that.
Allow me go to Parliament, where we are dealing with reports of apparent divisions within members of the National Unity Platform, so much to the effect that it's beginning to create a change of ideology. And as the deputy spokesperson, first and foremost, what is this whole thing about G-Unit? what is the cause of acrimony and the inability by some members to toe the line of the National Unity Platform as espoused before they came to Parliament?
First and foremost, I wish to assure the country that there is no acrimony. There is nothing like a crisis in the National Unity Platform. We are a sober team, and that is alive to the history and the magnanimity of the dictatorship in terms of failing political parties that are in the field. Our party is not only the strongest or the biggest in Uganda, but it is the most popular political party, young political party in the world. Therefore, it has to face a lot of challenges, especially from the naysayers. This world is a world of pessimists and optimists. And in this regard, I look at the pessimists so much, avenging their wishful thinking and fishing expedition into creating crisis at the National Unity Platform. I want to tell you, we have 57 members of parliament. And our 57 members of parliament are all towing the line of the National Unity Platform. Yes, some of them have gone below the line and they have been reprimanded to that. We have cohesion between our members of parliament and the secretariat. I can tell you that the secretariat works and has clear communication lines with our parliament forum. Our parliament is, we segmented the leadership in a way that we are lucky that the leader of the parliamentary wing, the leader of the opposition, of the option, Honorable Matthias Mpuga, is again in the secretariat, the running of the affairs of the party, the deputy president of Buganda region. Now, that puts, already gives us a comparative advantage that in all the discussions that are done, we have the leader of the parliament there. I can tell you, even on this very committee that decides how the party must move, the deputy presidents are members of that largest committee. Now, our two of them, by the way, the deputy president of Eastern Uganda, Honorable Nambeshe, is a member to the deciding committee. The deputy president, who is the leader of the opposition, is a member of the deciding committee. Joel Senyonyi, the chairman of COSASE, is also a member, because it is more about the departments and the heads of departments that sit and make those final decisions. So it would be foolhardy for anybody to assume, it would be wishful thinking that such a chronological stand of administration is again defeated in having cohesion, but rather create acrimony. It is not there. There is a media thinking, and we respect it because we respect all voices, that there is acrimony, because I have seen my brother Wandera, the one who wrote the article, is very close to me. I wondered why this time he didn't call me, but I have seen him alluding.
Perhaps you didn't have to.
Alluding to the fact, and
your opinion this time round.
He did pick my opinion, but it is and it is his right to go out there and write. We really commend that. That is the government we want to create, a government that has opportunity for everybody to execute their duty as they are supposed to do it, as long as it is professional. So, in our structure, the communication lines, as you've seen, between Parliament and us are existent, and in fact, many of the issues that arise from the Secretariat have been discussed, have been elucidated by this organ, and this organ has both members of the Secretariat who are not in Parliament. In fact, in our highest committee, if now I can have a stand to it, you will find that those that are in Parliament have more numbers to it than us who are not in Parliament. The President is not in Parliament, the Secretary General is not in Parliament, but if you look at the Deputy Secretary General is in Parliament, the Deputy President of Central is in Parliament, the Deputy President of Eastern is in Parliament, the Chairman of COSASE, who is my inline boss, his Honorable Joel Senyonyi, is in Parliament, the leader of the Women Wing is in Parliament. Now, that only can tell you that our discussions are more enriched to having cohesion than what other colleagues are propagating. You have asked me about the G20.
G unit.
The
so-called G unit.
Now, these brothers of ours, first of all, as you said earlier, many of them were not, this is their first time in parliament. Okay? And when they got into parliament, they discovered that in their constituencies, there are challenges that they could not manage individually. They came in as a team. But in that team, there are those who have been in parliament for 20 years. There are those that have been in parliament for 15 years. There are those that have been in parliament for 10 years. There are those that are in parliament for the first time. But then they wanted to have that brotherhood. And there is no reason why we would stop a team of our own young people of National Unity Platform creating their own platform to enhance the ideology of the National Unity Platform. The ideology of the National Unity Platform cannot be run away from by anybody who still wants to play politics. Our ideology, we are anchored on people power. Now, anybody who would want to deviate or to veer off the road of people power, that could not be a blame to us, because we believe that we are anchored and move in the direction of empowering the power of the people to be the last one to make decisions. And that is how we drive the administration of the party. Parliament is a political wing of Parliament, just like NUP is the political wing of people power. And this we have stated often, because once you say it is the political wing, then it means other wings can easily be created to empower the political wing. And at that, if you look at the scorecard of our parliament, I think that I can say in the next question, it has been tremendous. It is outstanding. It is the best on all those that have been around. We had Professor Ogenga Latigo, we had the Ebo Wafla Ogutu, we had Winnie Kiza, and I can tell you, Grace Akol, and I can tell you that with all due respect to all those very eminent persons I have mentioned, only the National Unity Platform has produced a legislative agenda. Only the National Unity Platform. Now, to the listeners and those who do not understand the politics of Parliament, it will be difficult for them to understand what we call the legislative agenda. This is the opposite of what government is presenting, and this is the hindsight of where Uganda should be in terms of legislation, in terms of the issues that Parliament is supposed to discuss in consonance with the plight of the people, in particular Ugandans. That we have done. We have bills that have passed. I can tell you, in the other session, the opposition for the first time had pending laws to be tabled to Parliament, and they were only defeated out of time. There is a lot of progress.
Yes, let's talk about the business of opposing government. When the word opposition is peddled, many people begin to think it's a case of talking against the government, or more like criticizing all the time. However, the business of opposing government is about rolling out alternative policy solutions. And over the years, we have seen attempts to roll out policy solutions for some of the issues, including the very fact that the principal, Robert Kyagulanyi, has spoken exclusively about oil, but we do not see a policy read that we can refer to in terms of how this must be run, away from saying that there are concerns on environmental protection and the compensation of those that are supposed to be given money for that project to go on.
And human rights abuse.
Where is this? Where is the blueprint that helps to direct the policy agenda in terms of legislation for the National Unity Platform?
On what?
On the agenda that you are leading. For example, you say there is a legislative agenda now.
We did present a legislative agenda.
Unlike others. Where
policy
is the
agenda.
blueprint that informs that agenda?
The blueprint is informed by our manifesto. The blueprint is our manifesto. We gave a country direction to where we are supposed to go on infrastructure, and in particular, if you're talking about oil, you're talking about natural resources. There must be a comprehensive policy on our natural resources. I mean, it is foolhardy for us to think that we own the resources, yet individuals have taken them in their hand. Talk about gold, it is in the hands of the first family. Talk about oil, it is only known, even the agreements, inclusive of you, an astute journalist, you have not been privy to the contracts of oil. So, first of all, the simplest of all alternatives, the simplest of all, is that it must be our natural resources, not
Good.
my natural resources. But
Good.
the blueprint is our manifesto, and this document, this that we presented at Parliament, it was a policy statement.
Yes, talking about the fact that you are driving on the backdrop of the manifesto. Before environmentalists and other campaigners in the West came up to speak against YAPCO, the National Unity Platform had not made any noise about the fact that environmental concerns were never addressed, and that compensation of citizens who were affected or are going to be affected had been talked about. All of a sudden, we have the principal, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, perambulating Europe and returning and saying that, well, here it is, we should not go ahead with this particular project because of this and this and this and this. Why wasn't the National Unity Platform clear on aspects of environmental protection and compensation long before the Western activists came up? You're
not you're too busy to be keen to be keen to be what is happening in the National Unity Platform. We have had since the thuggery of the January election, we have had more than 100 interventions internationally. More than 100, and I mean that. Yes. We have written letters to those organizations. We have protested at those organizations. In fact, our teams protested at Total London. We have protested to the European Parliament, inclusive of myself. I was at the European Parliament to protest against a number of things. We have presented our case to the ICC. Now it is a matter of results. What you're seeing is not something that happened against the backdrop of his trip yesterday. He has had an enormous trip. You know that our president had an opportunity to interface with the European Parliament and present the plight of the people of Uganda. When you're presenting the plight of the people of Uganda, I can tell you we have done it omnibus. We have done whatever has affected this country, whatever mess that we have befallen, to all the relevant international correspondences, such that we are not isolated as a country. We live in a global world. We have discussed environment.
Very quickly, yeah.
We have discussed environment, and environment at that. We even discussed it vis-a-vis, if I have time, with what has happened before, like with the Bujagali Falls, in terms of asserting that we are talking about energy. We have a whole discussion on environment. That is why even one of our members of Parliament was suspended because he had gone against our environmental policy. Our policy on environment is extremely clear, and if there's anything the National Unity Platform would love to conserve, it is the environment. If you also are keen to our leader, he is he's one who is in love with the natural vegetation of this country, and therefore we also had that as a point. But human rights, human rights was highly highlighted in the issues as to why this oil should not go forward. But then
allow me to stick to the issue of the business of opposing government and why the National Unity Platform appears to have lost gas when it comes to this particular initiative, despite the fact that you speak of yourself as the biggest and most powerful political party in the country. No doubt about that. You have the numbers in Parliament. However, increasingly there is what appears to be a rift between pragmatism and populism. Pragmatism in decision making that is seemingly touted by the leader of opposition, Matthias Impuga, versus the populism that the principal or president espouses. What is the common ground in order to push the agenda of opposing government?
The debate is now getting more about these two individuals.
No, absolutely not. They are simply principles.
And we have one leader.
And who could be pushing two ideals?
We have one leader.
Okay.
We have one formidable leader at the National Unity Platform.
We are not discussing whether he is or not.
Because once you begin to say one is discussing this and the other is discussing the other.
The debate is pragmatism and populism.
But instituted by individuals.
NUP has emboldened itself as well when you speak about people power and the momentum of the street. Okay? That was what mostly propelled National Unity Platform. Increasingly, as the leader of opposition has rolled out what you say is a legislative agenda.
So you think
it has been more pragmatic and in so doing, seemingly appeared like there is a collusion course within the party.
To state that is to state that the leader of the option government, he only came into later. He is one of the founders of this institution. He is so much akin to our ideology than what you're saying. His style and methodology of work is driven by the constitutional mandate. He is doing this constitutionally. And I have said, we are in agreement. Yes, there are times when people, like in all organizations, people must define ideas. We are not a nursery that everything that comes into the National Unity Platform, once it is put on table, it is accepted. No, we discuss, we dissect, because we must be informed by the mindset that we are working for the people of Uganda. Therefore, it is not an individual policy, it is not an individual ideology, it is a collective responsibility. The only way you can defeat a dictatorship is by collective responsibility. What you're saying today is the able leadership of His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi, that if he has empowered the person at Parliament at a level of deputy president, that person must not be tutored, must not be coached, must not be followed. That person must execute his office as enshrined in the Constitution and with liberty to performing to its best. And that is what the Honorable Mpoga is doing. He's not being coached, he is not being run after. He is one of the most experienced legislators and leaders we have in the country. So for one to think that there would be a deviation, and maybe you don't even know him. He is one who led the walk to work protests. He believes so much in overthrowing this regime that many of you may project.
So from his teaching days.
And for us, it is not about populism.
Yeah.
No, ours is not about populism. Ours is about the reality. We are living a reality that this country has been mismanaged, and that reality is where it has been backed by the entire population, because we are based on facts. These facts that bring the National Unity Platform are the ones that inform all decisions that leaders make. We don't make populist decisions. We make decisions informed on what we are anchored on. That is the people power.
Let me ask you this question, very direct question. Is there an ideological rift between members of the National Unity Platform?
There is no ideological crisis in the National Unity Platform. As I said, we are anchored on people power. It cannot be a crisis for anybody to go against the power of the people. One who goes against the power of the people, I think, has formed his own opinion. But as I know, as I speak, we are in absolute form. We are in absolute electric speed.
The people
inform the people with whatever we are supposed to.
It's arguable, and the people out there, wherever they are across this country, do not feel the power that you tell them.
But they are the people.
They have also lost the kind of pandemonium that the National Unity Platform created within them, and it's unable to sustain it, because most say you have now tested the politics of the day and you're beginning to understand the dynamics and reclining away from them. Many are saying what the president spoke about a while back, that they are now on their own, yet he had come on the ticket or the platform of coming and making sure their issues are addressed and put forward.
But their issues are being addressed. We have stopped the oil. Okay? We have stopped Ugandans from spending exorbitantly on international foreign trips by isolating the regime apologists from accessing the international community. We are cutting ties with General Museveni, with much of the Western world. A fight, war is at our doorstep, and we know how to reply back. The reason you're talking about acrimony in the party is you're saying certain side has stayed focused to what brought them. That is exactly what you're saying. And if I heard you well, you're saying the president has remained to that focus. I am only here telling you.
No, the president has shifted.
I am only telling
increasingly telling them.
No. From day one, Twebereremu was the catchword from day one.
Oh, but Kyagulanyi.
And nobody has refused. Kyagulanyi has been to Europe. Kyagulanyi won this election, and Kyagulanyi has managed to keep the plight of the people in check for as long as we are supposed to do what we are supposed to do to overthrow the regime. What we are doing is fighting against a dictator. What we gave to Kyagulanyi was to defeat Museveni in a decisive election.
Okay.
We did not have, let me finish. You posed very important question.
All right.
We had a very decisive campaign that was held by whatever you saw, but we won it. So you cannot say that what we gave to him he did not deliver. He delivered the election. What maybe he's yet to deliver is how to overcome the gun, and that we can discuss with you. Should we take on the guns? It can be your opinion.
You can't discuss taking on guns with me.
But you're saying you're saying
I do not even consider holding a gun as a means of getting power.
That is where I am now. The constitutional processes of getting power are elections. Okay, so don't be here and tell me that those constitutional processes that were mad by thuggery of the regime led by General Dictator Museveni should be the yardstick of marking one's success and failures.
Absolutely. I haven't suggested
you said there is a decline.
I haven't suggested.
And for me,
a decline is not a suggestion that you should use
because there's
other means other than the political means.
But that is exactly
it's
when
natural,
you say
it's natural to lose gas.
We have not lost gas. Okay. The reason why I'm here at 7 is because we haven't lost gas. Okay, we haven't. And I have told you just yesterday, we are giving you results that you will not have the oil because we have mismanagers, we have thugs.
Do you fundamentally believe, you keep referencing to that, but allow me just ask you this particular question.
You have not given me time to finish the Kyagulanyi, because if you want to know what we gave to Kyagulanyi, we gave him the duty to unmask this dictatorship. He has done. We gave him the duty to defeat this dictatorship in the constitutional processes of elections. He did. Okay, he is the first member of parliament to have left the comfort zone of being in parliament and then came to run against a dictatorship by the volition of the power of the people, not by his own volition.
The comfort zone of parliament.
Yes.
Interesting there.
Yes, okay. I can tell you that parliament has been taken as a comfort zone.
That's a discussion for another day. The fact that because your members now are getting the comfort, our perhaps deviating
the existence of our members in parliament should not be a yardstick for us to not speak the truth. Whether they are doing right or not, they're just 57. You know that parliament is bogged with gerrymandering, where General Museveni took it himself as a duty to go and create constituencies for his relatives. You have the daughters of the Kutesas, you have his brothers, you have his what, occupying parliament. So if I tell you that it is a comfort zone, you don't need to doubt.
All right, let's stay within parliament and look at the fact that 57 of members, that is NUP, right in there. However, the Democratic Party, another opposition party and actually the oldest in the country, is grappling with issues and seeking to make inroads, especially within circles that had deviated. There are many DP members who went to the National Unity Platform and even came to Parliament. Right now, what we are seeing is concerted effort by the Democratic Party to make inroads into, well, National Resistance Movement, NUP, FDC, and all these other political parties. How are you holding up against that? Because we have already seen the tendency to create other groups within an already set framework within Parliament means that these members are willing to listen to other voices. And that is where the whole issue of ideology comes in. Are people beginning to shift to look at things differently?
But do you understand our ideology yourself?
Your NUP ideology?
Yes.
I have read your NUP ideology. It is not mandatory for me to understand it the way you do, but to give it perspective, especially for the people that are out there listening to it. And that is where we are right now.
Yes, now
the shift in ideology from populism to pragmatism, something that you have failed to explain to us.
That is why I asked you whether you have read it. That is not our ideology. We are not, there's no ideology called populism and pragmatism. That cannot be there. Those are methodologies. That is a modus operandi of work, maybe.
Which you have adapted.
No, we haven't.
It is visible. We are seeing.
Our ideology is the power of the people. Okay? It is the people who made a decision that for them to have their power returned to them as enshrined in the constitution of Uganda, is that they could lead this country to where they want it at the time and when they want it. When we were going for elections, we had the movement of people power, purely having the people take charge the affairs of their country. When we discovered that we needed a political vehicle, okay, a political vehicle to anchor us into government through the constitutional processes, we sat and agreed to form the National Unity Platform, because everybody and leaders had asked us to have a center number. We got the center number to their surprise. It even had heads roll at the Electoral Commission in the name of even the secretary. Now, when we wanted this organization, we started the political wing. But the political wing is anchored on our ideology of people power, not populism. The power of the people being effective in having a new Uganda. That is our ideology. That is why we cannot drift away from that. Now, anybody, and I want to assert to that, anybody who wants to work against the ideology of people being in charge of the affairs, then that one is definitely not even a politician, because this is the best you could ever give. We do not have, and we have absolute independence to all those who hold office for as long as they are towing the line of why we are in whatever we are doing. What we are doing is to defeat the dictator. But I can tell you why such stories are always protruded by
okay, we're gonna have to close this. You're parting shots in 30 seconds.
It is to deflate. It is to deflate the cohesion. It is to deflate the progress. It is to create a crisis that does not exist. But I can tell you that at the National Unity Platform, we are so much working together. We have clear lines. The G20, as you've said, that is a group of colleagues who came together to help themselves in each constituencies. And wherever they have gone, by the way, they have spoken about, they have firmly spoken about the what we are anchored on, the people power movement, but most importantly, our president, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu.
Okay, Deputy Chairperson of the National Unity Platform, Spokesperson Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro there, of course, giving us a bit of insight and perspective on what's going on within the National Unity Platform. As the media, it's our role to throw the spotlight on these entities to ensure that perhaps what could need to be unveiled in terms of how they are conducting business is actually seen in light of well, the national agenda. That's it for the Kickstarter discussion. It's been a pleasure having your company. I'm Chris Higenyi. We shall be returning with another discussion